And I'm going to turn it over to Tim.
Okay. Well, as you know, this is all about Henry tonight, and I couldn't be happier standing here. One of the interesting things I have about my position at Trinity is that my office is right off a doorway onto the lawn walk. And so people continually come in that doorway and they stop at my door. And I would say that in the 15 years that I've been in that office, half the people that have come in looking for Henry. And you laugh, but I think that's true. So his office used to be easier to find than it is now. So very often what happens is that I say, I can tell you how to find his office, but it's a lot easier if I just walk you down. So I walk them down, and it turns out that they're mostly former students of yours who are back with their own children looking at Trinity. And they have tremendous memories and recollections of the great experience they had with you as a teacher. And it just reinforces my own experience of you as a fellow department member and somebody that I know that I've gone to many times for advice in my, I don't know how many years as chair, but I hope it's a finite number.
Wrong, not going to happen, Tim.
Nice try, Tim.
Yeah.
Work for a job well done.
You're stuck. Right.
But the way that your former students feel about you, I'm sure, is the way we all feel about you, and that we're glad that you're not really retired, that you are with us every day, and that you are, of course, the expert on the dart now. We go to the well way too often, I know.
Draft number 9.
Instructor's manual.
But I know we all want to congratulate you on a tremendous career so far, and as I say, it's not over yet. All the students of your students that are now with us. So next up, I think, is Tom. Right?
Tommy!
You started the trend that has led to many deans that are sitting
That's right.
that have complicated my life. I don't begrudge you that license.
I'm the third of the chemistry deans. So Janet asked me if I'd say a few words about Henry. I said, why? And she said, well, he's retiring. I said, no, he's not. He's in the department more now than he ever has.
He's got an office. I need that space.
So I've come to the conclusion the chemistry department's kind of like the mob. Every time you think you're out, they pull you back in. In fact, as we do the master planning, Henry's got a bigger office in the newer buildings. There's no way anybody's going to let him go. But everything I wanted to say, Tim has said extremely articulately, and I thought I would just sort of... students always ask, where do you get your teaching style? And I always tell them I never had one, I just steal it from everybody else. And I've stolen a majority of Henry's. I do it very badly, but it works out really well. And one of the stories I always tell about Henry, and Michelle's heard this, so she can leave. But it was my first day of teaching at Trinity College, and I just got out of postdoc, and I'm up in my office, I'm pacing back and forth, and I'm trying to put my whole plan together. And I got to the office pretty late that morning, at about 5. I just hadn't slept all day, and I'm just wired. And there's a little knock on the door, and Henry comes in, and he goes, Tom, how you doing? I said, oh, good. I'm almost like my 20th cup of coffee. And he goes, so I heard you're teaching organic chemistry at 9. I said, yeah, I'm teaching organic chemistry. And he said, so, you ready? I said, yeah. So I had 6 weeks worth of notes already written out, which were worthless after 3 days. And so he's standing there, and very similar to how he is now, actually. And he said, are you nervous? And I said, oh, great. Now I have one of the senior members of the department come in and ask me if I'm nervous. I can't tell I'm nervous, but even the fact that he has sweat patches on his so I said, I am. I'm a little embarrassed to say I'm nervous. And he goes, good. I said, I've been here 75 years, and he said, I'm teaching physical chemistry at 9 o'clock, and it's a brand new class, and I'm nervous. And he said, if you ever get to that first day, and you aren't nervous, find something else to do. And that means you're in the wrong field.
Yeah.
And I would assume Henry still gets very nervous every day on his first day of class, and you shouldn't be, but it's good you are. But there are a couple of other tricks that Henry would you'd have students who would come in unprepared or not kind of listening, and so I asked Henry one day, I said, what do we do? I said, you don't want to embarrass them in front of the class, although I'm not averse to that either. But Henry goes, it's great. He goes, you just go up and you be very nice, and you escort them out of the room and tell them that they should explain to their parents why their parents are paying so much money and they aren't trying. And he goes, it works. So I did it, and it works. But the funniest story I remember about Henry, I wasn't there when this happened, but the students all told, because Henry would always lie about organic chemistry, so all the students would come running back and forth, and I'll tell that story too. But Henry has a policy in his class of no cell phones. And if the cell phone rings, he's very nice about it, but you have to leave. So the way the story goes, Henry's up lecturing, and his cell phone rings. So he looks at it, turns around, and walks out of class. And they waited for him to come back, but he kicked him.
DePhillips children, I have to say, your father's phone goes off more than anyone's in seminar. It does. His phone is the one that goes off in seminar.
But outside of that, it's just been amazing. Henry, as all of you know, is an amazing tennis player, and when they had the World Doubles Championships in Hartford, they would ask Henry to come down and play in some of the exhibition matches, which is, so he's multi-talented, is quite amazing. And the stability you've given over the last 75 years. So, given your activity level, and given the fact that we keep asking you to come back, I hope the next 75 years actually goes. But thank you so much from everybody and all of us, and you've not only mentored several generations of students, but faculty as well.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
And we have a couple gifts that we like. Oh, go ahead. Oh, yes.
Not yet.
Okay.
Please.
I'm not going to be as funny as Tom. But when I interviewed for my job at Trinity, I believe Henry was on sabbatical that year.
I was.
But he came back just to talk to me. So it was the end of the day, I'm exhausted. Henry's in his office, I go in to chat with Henry. And Henry says, you know, I came to Trinity and I didn't expect to stay but a couple of years. I was just going to come for a couple of years. But, you know, I haven't found a place I'd rather be. And so that was the philosophy I adopted when I came to Trinity. Okay, I'm going to come to Trinity, I'm going to stay as long as this is the best place I can find. And here I am. And here is Henry. Still. And he's going to outdo me in terms of years. But, you know, it has been such a wonderful place to work and to teach and to be colleagues. And a lot of that is due to Henry's personality and his guidance. And when I was chair, I can't count how many times I went down to Henry's office and said, oh God, Henry, what am I going to do? And he would walk me through it. And it always worked out.
Amen.
And eventually, after 6 or 7, well, 6 years as chair, I didn't have to do those talks anymore, but there were still times when I had to go talk to Henry if there is a problem. And I suspect Tom and Tim and probably Bill and others would have the same thing to say.
No, yeah.
So those of us who have followed him as chairs of the department, I think universally revere his wisdom and appreciate his willingness to help us get through the tough times. And so thank you so much, Henry, for all you've done for all of us and keeping this department on track for so many years.
Yeah, yeah.
Still not going to let me speak. Yet. Not yet.
Okay, I'm leaving.
comes the good stuff.
All right, hey Ralph. Ralph, keep it GP because it's going on YouTube, okay?
That's PG.
Really nice and braced.
Henry came here in 1964, spring. And the only person here that came at that same time was Jim, and he left.
He had to go.
And
He had to go to Maine.
I always told Henry here, the reason we didn't have a retirement party for you is, as others pointed out here, we never considered you as retired. And we still don't.
No, we don't.
This is just an occasion for us all to get together.
Hey, yeah, there you go. Amen.
Peter and Janet for hosting this evening. It's just wonderful. Henry, it's 50 years.
51.
It's a good age.
Doesn't feel like you're over 48.
Think about it, Jay. The college is just a little under 200 years.
Nice, Ralph. Excellent.
He's a founding father.
How many presidents has he
Yeah, easily 10. Yeah.
Ralph, this breaks one of your fundamental paradigms. You always say, in 50 years, who's going to care?
Bingo!
Right. Busted.
Thing here is we've gone through 10 presidents. God only knows how many deans.
Including yourself.
But there's only been 5 chaplains and only about 3 at the most athletic directors. It looks like the good Lord had more consistency here than the secular community. But Henry has done an awful lot for this department. I'm going to tell you a little story here on the sober side here. When I first came here, I was untenured member of the faculty, so I wasn't part of the discussions. But the department, I thought, was in that good a shape. We had plenty of students in the intro course, because you got to keep in mind those days 25% of the college intended to go on to medical school.
Yeah.
So if you had, that was well over 100, we sometimes 150 there.
Yep.
And the organic courses were well populated, but the upper level courses weren't. And I remember we just had the chemistry major. And we would have 2, 3, maybe 4 majors here. And then I looked at the syllabus, the course offered this, holy Jesus, what these kids have to go through. 4 years of math, 3 years of physics, 4 semesters of math, 3 semesters of physics. There must have been a German requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, were easy back then.
Even before they started studying chemistry. And so, you know, and just about that time, there was student interest in biochemistry.
Yeah.
You know that?
Bruce Heddleman, yep.
Bruce Heddleman,
Aaron
Josh,
Yostin.
Glenn Kuckelberg, Josh
Yeah.
Kuckelberg.
Yeah.
And they were starting to move for a biochemistry major. And Henry was the architect of what we have as a biochemistry major here. And he was able to keep that biochemistry in our department here. Now I know the dean here, 2 deans, we have 2 deans.
They're everywhere. Yeah, right. There are deans everywhere. Dean deodorant we need.
I know when I was chair, I was very conscious of the numbers. And you are too, I'm sure. And we need to get those numbers up in that junior and senior course here. And though there was a great interest in biochemistry here, and what you have in our present department is the biochemistry major that was created by this man right here. Now I'm going to say at that time here, there were biochemistry majors starting to form, but not with the depth and integrity of this one. There were hardly any physical biochemistry in these other ones here.
There was none.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing here is when the Committee on Professional Training finally recognized biochemistry and was certified the major, the requirements were essentially what he had created. And so consequently, all the other schools here had to put in that physical biochemistry and give it some sort of integrity here. Henry's done an awful lot for the college too, beside the dean's job here. And we've also had other curricular innovations that he's put in here. But it enhanced our numbers. And so a lot of kids that sort of didn't want to major biology or major chemistry, but liked the two of them together, chose the biochemistry, even though it was a rigorous, and still is a rigorous discipline. I'm thinking today, we have a similar situation in the department today. We have a bunch of students here who are interested in neurochemistry. And we may have a comparable situation here. It's a good thing that he's not retired because we can use his expertise here. Tim? Yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to go into that, but we have a
Thank you.
Bill's arms are getting
My arms are getting tired, Ralph.
Muscle fatigue.
Right.
The other thing I want to
Just tell them you love them and move on, okay?
You're doing well, Rob. Don't listen to them.
The other thing I want to say, he's done a lot for the college too. He's taken over the Rome program and kept that going. Mike Campbell established that many years ago, an ongoing thing. The Istanbul program here, lots of other things. But there's one story, everybody in here has some story to relate, a funny thing about here. The one that I like, that Henry likes to tell here, and I love to tell it too, and I always credit you for it here, is that it was Parents' Day. I guess we call it Family Day today. Yeah. And one of your students, a male student, brought his mother in. Do you remember telling you this story?
I sure do.
Yeah. And, you know, physical chemistry, I must say it's like physics. It's hard to tell where the mathematics ends and the chemistry begins. You know, I mean, and it must have been one of those days with the partial derivatives coming up and all the rest of this thing before the chemistry did. And when the class was all over, the mother came up to you and said to you, Dr. DePhillips, I didn't understand a thing you said, but I like the way you said it. The last comment today is, and I sense it because I'm in the same situation here. His first students now, one of them is coming this fall, Tim Cross. He's going to be one of our
Speakers, yeah.
He's going to be one of the speakers.
Oh,
He's
good.
a world famous in vivo NMR man.
Yeah.
He worked for Henry and graduated 40 years or so ago.
76.
76, so he's close to 60 or things like that. And I'm just thinking, this guy had a student in his lab this summer here. She's 18, Sarah Talcott, she was one of my students. And she's 18 years old. That's 2 generations. Tim is almost old enough to be a grandfather or father here.
3 generations.
And he's still interested in teaching students. The Dart here, this is Mr. Dart, right, Tim?
Yeah. Version 9.
But the interesting thing is, it's not only that, Henry was in my office the other day, and he says the Henry Dreyfus Foundation have a certain thing for maritime faculty.
Yeah, that's right.
Who, if they're interested, and they can take on undergraduate students, so he's already writing a grant to get some
And he's
money
waiting
to-
for the dean's letter.
That's right. Right. Actually, I thought it was Tim's letter that he was waiting for.
What I find interesting here is the generational difference.
This cake is melting, by the way.
Still going on. But anyways, we're going to...
Do you remember the time that Hank and I beat you and Mike Campbell at doubles?
Oh,
Believe it.
Well, that's just because Hank's Ralph's safety pin malfunctioned and he couldn't keep his tennis pants on anymore.
But anyways, it surely brings up another one.
Bill's arms are gonna fall off.
Yeah, right. Ralph, just tell him you love him and let's get on to the dessert, okay?
The cake smells like
And then you two can go home. Anyways, I want to tell this story here because Shirley brings it up.
Nice, Shirley.
It's like the asked
In 1985,
1985.
he had a quadruple. He had a quadruple heart.
Look at the date.
No.
85?
88.
Right. So,
Plugged like crazy.
99% blood.
Because he's an Italian.
so he was. we were playing
Butter and pasta.
Guess when? This was in May. Guess when he was back on the court?
88.
June.
July.
August.
6 weeks later.
All the best to you, Henry.
Hey!
I will be very quick because I subscribe to the philosophy that the shorter the talk, the better it is. Number one, thanks to Peter
Yes.
and Janet.
Yeah! Woo! You're awesome.
Unbelievable. Number two, thanks to the entire department. There is no question, and I keep saying this all over the campus, we have the best department on campus. Not only do I say it, but people in other departments say
Say it back.
you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Number three, 51 years is I don't know where it went. It just went. And I'm still here. I'm very grateful to be here because it's a wonderful, wonderful place to work. As I think you all know, we help each other, we work together, we support each other, we do everything for the chemistry department and for Trinity College. And it's the second part that I really get discouraged in when I read this faculty distribution list stuff.
Yeah.
Okay? It's, people, it's all self-interest. It's not Trinity College. And it just discourages me. But I'm not here to discourage people. There are so many things I would like to say, but I will just say one more. I'm very thankful that my whole family is here.
Yeah.
And their spouses.
Yeah.
It's been, we've been extremely blessed. Our family has been and is extremely blessed. I'm sorry, Catherine is missing. Sorry, Henry.
The little kids started school.
Minus one.
so,
Yeah, they started school. Okay. But the one person I could not have done this without. She's a very special person.
Stay there. Oh, yeah.
No question. Very special person. And she has supported me every step of the way. Now, have there been some days when
The support was tested.
but there's no way I could have been standing here 51 years later without having her by my side. So, that's it, guys. Thank you very much.